Welcome back to Loud Opinions. This is episode 5.
Yep.
I think it's 5. I don't even know. But anyway, welcome back to Loud Opinions.
We're the Lows.
And these are our opinions.
Man, it's good to be back. It's been a long time coming.
It's been a while, but we kind of have a reason why.
We did a thing. We had a thing. Our baby is out of the womb.
Out of the womb, and it is in the room with us.
Yep, she's here. And so, because of that, we've taken a few weeks off. But we're back, and we have a fun story to tell that I'm excited to share on this podcast. What about you?
Yeah, I'm excited.
I think it is going to be good to cement it and share it with the world.
This podcast, in some ways, kind of feels like our journal.
Yeah.
So it's even if we get 5 views, we can look back on it and watch it ourselves.
Yeah.
Even if it's for us.
Yeah, exactly.
It just kind of gets that story out there, so it kind of gets out of my head, and I'm able to put it out, and just, it's almost like my journal. You know?
I agree. So do you want to tell the people her name?
Her name is Sabella Verity.
Wow. Yep, Sabella Verity.
Can't wait to see what her loud opinions are eventually.
I know. She's got loud opinions. She does.
At 4 a.m. They're pretty loud.
At 4 a.m. they're very, very, very loud.
And they keep her awake. No, she doesn't go back to bed. No, she's been great.
She's been so great. And it has been almost 2 weeks now of having her. She
is 12 days old, I believe.
Yeah. And man, it's just crazy that we have a daughter and that she's ours.
Yeah, there's a lot of times we're just kind of holding her and we're like, she's ours.
Yeah.
That's weird. It's a great thing. It's amazing, but she's ours.
Yes.
So
do you want to tell the people what her name means, and then maybe we can kind of start from there and share just the story of how she came into this world and all of that?
Yeah, well, so Sabella is a variation of the word Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to my mother-in-law, how she wants that name. She got it, just not in the way she wanted. And it means God is my oath, and it can also mean rest, because it is a variation of Sabbath. So it can kind of mean that. The reason at first we picked it before the spiritual meaning was because your sister's middle name is Isabella, and you and her had a
pact.
Yeah, to name each other's daughters a variation of the middle name.
Yeah.
So we've fulfilled our end. We're waiting on Sophia.
Yeah. We'll keep waiting for a while, though. We're not.
Yeah, we're not in a rush. I'm just saying, we did our part. We'll see if she fulfills her end of the pact. But yeah, we picked that name, and it just went well with the story. It feels like God really fulfilled it, which is really cool. And her middle name is Verity, which is means true, which is could be an attribute of the Lord, but also hopefully for her.
Yeah. I think the two together is God keeps his oath and is true to his word.
Yeah, God is my oath, and his oath is true.
And it's true. And I feel like that has been the testimony of the Lord in the last 9 months, but really I would say the last 2-3 months of our story and of her story. And yeah, should we just dive on in?
Yeah, what was the first few stresses for us going into this?
Well, number one stress, a lot of people close to us do know this. I was turning 26 in February.
Yay, whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. And thus, I don't know if you know this, but the government does not let you stay on your parents' insurance once you turn 26. And I was mooching. I was mooching off my father's insurance.
That's a good one too.
It is a good insurance. And so really one of the biggest stressors was kind of this timeline that was created of when I would lose insurance, which was supposed to be on March 14th. That was the deadline. And my due date was actually past that. And so the last 9 months have been very stressful. Honestly, it's been a lot of like, and we'll get into just the overall thing, but that deadline like looming over us the whole time of like, how do we both bring her into this world in a way that doesn't feel like forceful, but then also is like, hey, we really do have a timeline. And that was like number one stressor. Number two stressor was the fact that my mom was also going to be out of town March 15th.
And so you wanted her present.
Definitely wanted my mom present. So there was this big timeline of, I have to have this done by this day. But babies aren't really like that. I mean, they can be. We have learned a lot about like the medical system and induction and all of that.
How have we learned that?
You can tell them. Do you want to tell them?
So we went to a birthing class, which is specifically the Bradley method, which is for husband coached childbirth. And so the goal is to coach the husbands how to help his wife while she is in labor. And so it's informing the husband and wife on what like different stages of labor look like, what those interventions are, how to prepare for birth before you get there, and all that kind of stuff, which was a game changer for the time we were there. And it changed everything for us. But the hard part leading up to it is we did this class wanting to inform ourselves, learn about natural childbirth, meaning natural in the sense of you were trying to stay away from any other
like interventions
or the goal is to stay away from like painkillers and be able to just do it as natural as possible. Nothing wrong with the painkillers. It's just a goal we had from this class. And so one of the hardest things for us is like, we went to this class. Love the little baby giggles in there. We went to this class wanting as natural as possible of a birth, but also in that class, we're knowing that we're not going to like a birth center, we're going to a hospital, and also that we have an induction scheduled. And so inductions are kind of the opposite of natural birth in the sense of how it happens. And so it just kind of felt like we had two worlds collide. And in the beginning of it all, I kind of had just like given it to the Lord and really trusted him to kind of come through in the end, just because God had come through and everything else. And a lot of people say like pray about things and just kind of see what God does. For me, I just kind of like, I already trust him, so I just kind of wait to see what happens when it comes.
I already trust him.
I'm just saying, like, for me personally, I'm not like, oh my goodness, I need to pray for this. Like, in my head, I'm like, I know God's going to come through, so I'm just kind of waiting to see how he does. And so, you know, maybe we got a little bit closer and closer, and, you know, fast forward all the way to 1 week before the induction, and that week was crazy.
Yeah. I think, like, I don't know about you guys, but, like, have you ever had, like, that feeling of, like, it was like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's what in every area of this scenario, it felt like we were stuck between a rock and a hard place. It was like, I want to have her naturally, but also we have to have her before this day. I trust in God, but also, is he going to show up at this day? And it was like, sorry, she moves a lot. I have lots of nerves. And that's just what it felt like. We were living in this kind of like in-between tension of we just don't know what's next. We didn't know about insurance. We didn't know, how much it was going to cost to put me on an insurance of our own. If it was possible to even put you on an insurance because we had missed enrollment period. There were so many like little things that had compiled, and that week before she was born was stress mess 1000. Literally, like I can't even, it was so stressful. A little side note is I had in my mind concocted the date March 6th. No reason other than in faith. I was like, I just feel like we should be praying for March 6th. And I got the whole church to pray this baby to come primarily before my insurance ran out, but mostly on March 6th. People were like, we're praying, and March 6th in the night rolls around, and I'm like having, oh, hold up, you can start the story because she's moving.
Was it like prodromal labor
Mm-hmm.
where it starts early? And so we were like, it was right before falling asleep too. So then we're like getting up, scrambling, trying to find like all the hospital stuff because we weren't fully ready for it. And then we just kind of got no sleep that night.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like it just stopped. You didn't have any more contractions.
I know. I was like pretty much having contractions for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's just wait. They're not like the space together. They're not spaced together. They're not consistent.
They're very, timing was a little weird. How often they happened was a little weird. It was just not like, you could tell it wasn't like normal labor. It
Yeah.
was something like your body was just kind of practicing sort of thing.
Yeah. But then, you know, we went to sleep, woke up, and they were gone. And to me, that was like the start of like what felt like an emotional roller coaster. Because I was like, I just went through 3 hours of what is going to be labor, and it was for nothing. Because
In your head, it was
in my
nothing.
head, this is obviously what I'm thinking. I'm like, God, like, it's not that I don't believe that you couldn't have done it on the 6th, but like, why didn't you do it on the 6th? Like, you got me feeling like it was gonna happen, and then it didn't happen. And that was like a Thursday. Was that Thursday
I
or
think so.
Friday?
Yeah.
And that like set us on a weekend course of really just trying to do everything imaginable to naturally get her out
So
before what was my elective induction on the Wednesday, the 11th.
yeah, so you had taken that Sunday off just to kind of try to relax because you knew regardless you're gonna have to have that induction on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So you're like, you don't want to overdo it, keep your energy. Took that Sunday off, and so from those few days we're just doing everything under the sun to try to get this baby to come
The
out.
dumbest thing.
We played pickleball. We drove on a
Let's pause. I was 38 weeks pregnant playing pickleball just to get this baby out.
You had a good time though.
It was good. I kept up.
You did.
I lost.
Yeah.
You were throwing me some.
No, I hit it towards you. I was trying to be as fair as possible. We weren't playing to win. We were playing to play.
We're
to have
always
fun.
playing to win. What are you talking about? There were like moves that he would throw the ball, and I was like, I literally can't get that.
Okay, what about some of your hits?
You're not pregnant. You can.
Oh, so you want me to run? Okay, so you're admitting that some of the hits were crazy. Anyway, pickleball. What else did we do?
We played pickleball. We ate spicy food.
Yes. Twice.
And I hate spicy food.
It's good. You did good.
I know. What did we do?
The bumpy road.
You tell them
It's a
about
brick
the bumpy
road. Some of our friends have told us, try driving on this road and it might start. It worked for us, might work for you. It is the craziest road.
It's like cobblestoned, but
Yeah.
and it's also like uneven cobblestoned.
It's
Yeah, and the guy like walked up to us and
it's
he
like a
was
roller
like,
coaster.
what did he say? He said, "My wife, like all 3 of our babies, we drove down the street and she went into labor." So we were like,
So
okay,
might as well try, We'll
Try
do
it.
everything we can.
lots of curb walking,
Yeah,
lots of walking.
Well, because you also don't want to overwalk, so we're trying to rest too. So a little bit of sitting at home, doing nothing, a little bit of walking around, a little bit, just everything.
Yeah, and nothing.
Stretches, exercises.
Nothing. And that was crazy. So that went all the way till Wednesday, which was the day of our induction.
Yeah.
And at that point, you make peace with the fact that you have to induce. Of course, like there were still desires on my heart, that I was still praying to God about. Like, God, I really don't want to have to get on this intervention cycle that they call, like, you go in for an induction, you get Pitocin, the Pitocin's too much, so then you go on epidural, and I like didn't want to get on any of that. And so I was like, God, this just feels like I'm like losing autonomy little by little in my decisions. And so, you know, we went in there. Oh no, we didn't go in. We didn't go in Wednesday.
We called the hospital. You have to call an hour before you get in just to make sure they have space, because we were an elective induction, meaning it's not an actual like
priority
of a,
it's not like medical reason.
It's not a medical reason, meaning like something's wrong and we have to get the baby out kind of thing. It's more of, we're choosing this day because we're losing insurance, which to us is pretty serious, but obviously medical is more important than for us. So we called an hour before. They said we're all the whole floor is full, so call again in 2 hours. We call in 2 hours.
This was like our first call was at 4.
Next one was like 6 or 7.
6 o'clock, yeah.
I said try calling again at 9.
Yep.
Called at 9, and they were like, well, go ahead and just call your doctor and reschedule. And that was like, we were just quiet on the phone.
Yeah, I think she could sense, bless her, she could sense like my panic. I was like, the office like, is closed.
She was like, well, do you have like
she was like, there's an emergency line, and I'm like,
she asked if you had a medical reason to go in. She was
yeah.
like, do you have a medical reason? Is there anything going on? We're like, well, we're losing our insurance on Saturday, so we're really trying to get this before. She's like, okay, well, let me talk to the person over the floor manager, whatever the position's called. Like, I'll talk to them and just let them know your situation.
I was like trying to memorize all the nurses' names that we like went on the phone call, because I felt like if I memorized their names, they would feel more personal. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I called at 4, and she's like, this is Stephanie. And then call at 6, and she's like, hello. I'm like, hi, Stephanie, this is Laura. We spoke earlier.
Did it work?
I mean, she put us in for the next day, because originally she was like, have your doctor do it. Like, have your doctor schedule you. And I was like, when is that going to be? And she was like, we're kind of full for tomorrow, so it might be after that. And I was like, no, it needs to be tomorrow.
So they kind of said, well, let's call at, that was the night call. She said, we're full tonight, so call again in the morning. There's someone else who's supposed to be in at 8, but maybe because you're a day off from when you were scheduled, you would take priority. So we'll just try to kind of, instead of a full reschedule, it was like they just kind of kept pushing us, which really helped us, because otherwise we wouldn't have got in when we got in.
Yeah, but when I tell you, girl, hold up, let me fix her head. When I tell you that every phone call ended with tears, because like I'm feeling that pressure. I'm feeling like this is less and less gonna be possible. This is like, we're too close to the deadline. And like, I just felt myself like kind of giving up like energy, or like, I don't know, like, I don't want to say hope. That sounds so dramatic. Giving up hope. But it really like became a mental game, and I was weak. But you were really great about keeping me strong, and which I know even you were feeling like some kind of feelings. Your energy, mental game was I don't know. Do you want to talk?
Yeah, I didn't know if you were.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it was like, you know, we had so many people praying. It kind of came to that moment where like, I don't know, I've served the Lord for so long that I feel like I've never had a moment where God like didn't come through. And this kind of felt like that first time. And so I was almost like really like frustrated at God of like, why is it going like, you know, when David's like, I served you my whole life, why me, kind of thing. Like, yeah, man, I've like, I've done everything for you and to serve you. And it like, this is the one time it feels like you're not coming through. And like, on Sunday you had Pastor Shannon praying, and you had asked him, and he was like, he came and told us, he was like, I was going to pray like that it could be on the 6th, but I was like, she really wants it to happen. And I feel like God just said, I got this. And so in my head, that's what was going through this whole time, was just like God saying, I got this. And I was like, sure don't feel like you do. Like, it feels like, we're doing everything humanly possible to, see if we can get birth to start naturally without having to have any interventions. And it wasn't happening. And so it was like, I guess, it was supposed to be Wednesday, then it wasn't Wednesday, it was Thursday, and just felt like everything was going away. And so, two things. I felt like there was almost like this picture of like people say when they're sending prayers to heaven, it's kind of like this iron dome of like you're hitting the iron dome,
like the wall.
Yeah, the wall. And I felt like God was saying like, it's like I feel like I'm praying and it feels like you're not hearing it and you're just up there. And I feel like God just like reminded me like, well, I mean, I'm not up there. Like I'm down here with you. Like I'm not above. I'm not behind some wall in the sky. Like I'm here with you and I walk this with you. And then he just reminded me of the story of Hagar. And so this is from Abraham and Sarah when they were supposed to have Isaac, and then they go to Hagar instead, and this whole thing happens where they have Ishmael try to make the promise their own way, and it doesn't work. But what God kind of showed me through this story was she flees because Sarah is mean to her and rude to her. So she flees, goes to the wilderness, and then God sees her in the wilderness and tells her, hey, like, you're with a child. I'm going to bless the child to go back to Abraham for, like, his resources. He's going to be able to help you be able to have this kid. Yeah. So she goes back. They have the kid. They eventually have the promised kid, which is Isaac. And then Ishmael does something stupid and, like, makes fun of him. And so then Sarah's mad again and is like, tells Abraham, cast out, like, just send him away. The promise is through Isaac, not him. And so Abraham's sad because it's also his kid, but then God says, just listen to your wife, send her away, I got her too, kind of thing. So she goes back to the wilderness. She has a jug of water. That jug of water runs out, and she puts Ishmael under a tree to just cry, and then she walks far away enough where she can't hear him cry. She's just going to let him die, kind of thing. And it's like very dramatic, but I almost felt like that was how I felt, like where it's like you're in the wilderness, you're just, God's not showing up in the way that you thought he would. He gave you a promise, and that promise hasn't come through. You're just mad at him, and so you just kind of sit waiting to die. That's what it feels like. Like you're just like, all right, God, I don't know what's going on. Like, I trust you, but also I'm kind of mad because I thought you would come through by now. Yeah. Like, you know the song, like, Never Lost a Battle. It's like all great and fun, but there are dark moments before you win those battles. Like, there's times where you're in the dark night and God just has not come yet. And I felt like, you know, God reminded me of that story. And what happens is an angel, you know, she's the one who called, like, God is the God who sees and the God who hears. And so the angel comes and says, like, hey, go get your child, pick him up, and he's like, God's going to make a nation of him, which is the same promise that was made to Isaac as well. So now he's included in the same promise. And then she said, like, she goes, picks up the kid, and God opens her eyes to find water and provides water. And so she had every right to kind of like be frustrated at the Lord and say, like, you promised this kid would like be a nation, and but she just gave up because she couldn't find water. And God sometimes has to remind us of those promises. And so I know that's a long thing, but just kind of sharing, like, what God was showing me is like her name means God is my oath. Yeah. And then the middle name, true. Yeah. God is true to keep his oath. Yeah. Even in those dark nights when it's not how you thought it would happen and not how you wanted it to happen. But all that to say, we went to the hospital and God did it. And every prayer we had, he answered it, just not in the way we wanted. Yeah.
It's like, you know, it was a big test of my faith. I think I had never, like I was sharing with you, like you have prayer requests, but sometimes you're not like bold enough to like
share it,
like be like, this is my like, you know, some people have like really weird things like, God, show me my husband is going to show up with like yellow flowers, like very specific dreams. And then like that happens, right? Like I had never done that in my life. Like I don't think I ever was like, God, if you're real, do this, or like show up in this way. So to pray like this very specific prayer, God, I want this to happen. And like every day it felt like that was like further away, was like, I'm not losing faith in you, but like, geez, the one time I try to like have like bold faith, it feels like it's not happening. You know what I'm saying? And so that was really hard. I think like a story of a song of my life will forever be like, you know, the song by Mercy Me. Where the Even If, where like it talks about like the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're in the fire and they're like, I know God can save me, but even if he doesn't, I'm still gonna like worship him. And I think that was like something I just had to remind myself over and over, like, even if it's an induction, he's still in this. I was still made for this. Like, even if it's Pitocin, like, I was still made for this. Like, God is still in this. Like, that was just kind of what kept me going. And then just, like, yeah, Pastor Shannon's word, I was like, he says he got us, but does he got us?
Looking back at it now, you know,
he totally had us.
I think, like, you realize if God had answered it in a way that, like, we thought he could, he wouldn't have gotten all the glory. We would have thought that maybe, like, we're part of that. And I think there's times where, like, God has to let your part of it die.
Wow, guys. That's good. Yeah. He has just shown himself so faithful. And, like, there are things that even in, you know, we're sharing this story to not, like, there's other stuff that we're thinking of that we're like, man, God is so faithful. And at the end of the day, like, I did birth her without any medical, well, they did give me one little thing, but it was
different. The goal was to get away from Pitocin, which is
Yeah.
because once you have that, it's the artificial version of what your body will naturally do to create contractions.
Yeah.
And so then that takes away
it
your
kind of, like,
endorphins, which is
turns
your
off your hormones. Like, your hormones are supposed to send stuff out.
yeah,
And when you
to help with the pain.
when you take
And then-
Pitocin, it kind of shuts off that hormone system and does it by itself. And so there's a lot of things that you kind of lose in getting Pitocin. And so we went into hospital at 10:30. They gave me, like, this pill at 11:30, and by 6 o'clock I was fully dilated and pushing. And man, it was just like, even in that, God is, like, so good. I was in the middle of, like, a contraction, and, you know, Jonathan, the only real, like, sense of help was when the contraction hit. I wanted him to, like, pull, and I would, like, pull back, and I think that, like, counter pressure really relieved a lot of the tension in my body, because then I could kind of relax. And so I told him, I was like, it would be so nice if I could, like, push in this position.
Yeah.
I literally said that, but, you know, it's with the squat bar, and I didn't even know if the hospital had a squat bar. There was nothing on the website about it. We never mentioned it, but we're pushing, and one of the nurses comes out with the full squat bar, and she's like, hey,
Do you want to try this?
Do you want to try this? And we were like, yes.
Yeah.
And
That's amazing.
it was crazy, because it's like, that's exactly.
They're, like, watching a TikTok on how to do it. Like, you can tell, you know, we knew going into the hospital, we were trying to do it in a way that was different than what they normally see.
Protocol, yeah.
But they were very accommodating to work with us to try to let us have the birth experience we wanted, which was to not have the medication if it wasn't needed.
Yeah.
And they accommodated, and they were very willing to work with us, which was amazing. They could have just, like, no, I'm the doctor, we're going to do it this way, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they didn't feel like that.
Another, like, little, like, God thing was, we were supposed to come in on Wednesday, and Wednesday was going to be it was actually going to be a doctor I had never even met before.
Yeah, because you see them once, like, every other week or every week leading up to it.
Yeah, because there's a practice, and there's, like, 9 different delivering doctors, and, you know, the odds of you seeing all 9 in your pregnancy, especially if, like, we have one location, is not large. So the person that was supposed to do our induction on Wednesday, I had never even met, and I think that gave me a little bit of hesitation. I'm like, are they gonna, like, validate my plan?
Yeah.
And being pushed back, we actually ended up seeing the doctor who I presented the plan to,
And it helped walk us through if it's possible.
yeah. And so it was like, even in that, God was there.
We saw her twice, and she was, like, we liked her a lot. She was really friendly. And
Yeah, she was on the list of people that I was like, if I'm gonna birth, I would like to birth with her.
Yeah.
And she was there, and she was amazing. And Yeah, it's just God was totally all over that 100%.
And now we're parents, and it's been amazing. One of the last things of what we've been learning before we went through all that was just kind of through the birth class, you learn that, you know, we as Americans in today's world is you medicate pain. If you feel something, you give yourself something to try to numb it so you don't have to feel it. Our like modern way of thinking is just medicate any pain that comes. And I think we've carried that through into religious moments of pain, into any, you know, emotional pain. I think we just try to numb it, as whether it's our phones scrolling, and we numb anything that hurts us. And in the class, like, you kind of realize, like, your body is giving birth and doing something. Well, not me, I'm a man, but what I've learned for you is, like, your body is doing a lot, like, through this process that actually benefits you, and actually it benefits the baby. And there are things that happen that they cause pain, but they're still good.
Sorry, I was agreeing with you. That's really good.
And so it's like, you know, through this whole thing, I think, like, we've learned we don't want to just medicate the pain. You know, we want to, like, one of the things I've been learning is, like, or saying is, like, the only way forward is through. And there's like a Psalm 77, and at the end of it, it says, like, your footsteps are untraceable and your way of deliverance is through the sea. And the Israelites had to go through the water, which, like, to them, poetically, water was known as, like, from Genesis 1, as like the chaos waters. God sometimes delivers you through that chaos and takes you, like, the thing that is the chaos is actually what delivers you. Well, he delivers you, but it's in the process of walking through that dark moment that brings that deliverance.
Yeah.
And so just through this birth was like, we don't want to medicate it. We don't want to, like, just numb it. We want to go through it.
Yeah.
And I think God did that spiritually.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like, in the moment we were like, this is so many times we were like, this is not fair. But it's like, it is that chaos, it is that, like, difficult thing that God pushes you through. You know, it's in James where it says, like, trials, like, produce, like, perseverance and endurance. It's like, it's all for the testing of your faith. And I feel like we have a story and we have a testimony of, like, God, like, doesn't leave you, and he is true to his oath, and his word is true. And if he says that, you know, all of this is going to ultimately lead to his glory and our good, then, you know, we believe that in faith, and we've seen that. And parenting 2 weeks in, it's a lot. There's a lot of tears, there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of unknown, but man, like, God's got us this far, and he's not going to leave us. And yeah, it was an amazing story. I think it was everything I had, like, even just birth, 10 out of 10, no negatives. There were things, it was painful. It was, I mean,
10 out of 10, no negatives.
That's what it is. The only way through, that was a thing that we said, the only way through is through. Yeah. And I think only way through is, like, through with God, and he gets you through it.
And he walks you through it. He walks through it with you.
Yeah.
He doesn't choose to be away and just watch you go through something. Like, he holds your hand through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, out here crying on a podcast.
I know. This is how you know it's raw.
This is more like a sad opinion than a loud opinion. But it's just because it's so real and so raw and recent. And just, you know, I hope that our story can encourage you that, you know, even in those dark moments when you feel like the Lord, like, hasn't answered your prayers, like, you know.
Yeah, he hears.
He's faithful to his word, you know. Sabella, he will keep his oath, you know.
Yep.
And that's your story, little girl.
Well,
I think that's it. Any non-sponsors of the day? I have two non-sponsors.
Have you been thinking about this?
Mom Belly? Is that what this is called?
No.
Oh, not Mom Belly. What's this called?
It's called Oh,
Oh.
something solely baby.
So I guess we got 3. This wrap, not sponsored. And then what's the Mom Belly?
The Mombelli. I don't think they sell those anymore though.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, forget that. Scratch that. Third one, Bradley Method.
Bradley Method.
Thanks for, really being a part of our story.
Yeah. And to if there are moms out there that are watching this, just message me. I have so much to share. But it's been great. It's been great. God's been good.
Any soon-to-be dads that have questions,
Jonathan.
I'm not an expert.
No, but he's an amazing coach.
I wasn't just like,
I think
I
the
wasn't just
nurses
sitting
were
in a
like-
chair. I was like, I was one of the nurses. I was there. I was holding your hand the whole time.
And you watched
It
the
was like
whole thing.
It was like a war room in there.
It really was a war room.
And I was helping command things, I wasn't just a bystander. People say like, oh, well, you didn't go through the pain. My hand was through the pain and I was in that pain with you.
Oh.
We did it together.
Yes. Can I wait before we end? Can I talk about the transition? Just 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I feel like it needs to be documented.
It's good.
It's my favorite part. Like, well, other than having her actually holding her in my hands, but they say that like the space between you being 6 centimeters, or not 6, you being 8 centimeters
to 10.
to 10 is like they call it the transition phase. It is probably like the most difficult or like most straining one. It is like usually where you hear women say like, I can't do this, like I don't want to do this. Like it is the moment, like it's the pivotal moment where you're like, either I'm gonna give me the drug or I'm gonna push through.
Yeah.
And I was contracting, I was holding John's hand, and they were just coming. At this point I didn't know how far along I was. I just knew that it hurt. And I was feeling so bad for Jonathan's hand, and I was like, John, can you just give me the labor comb? It's just a little comb you put in your hand, and it's not painful, but you squeeze it, and it kind of just, I think, redirects like
your brain. You can only kind of focus on one pain at a time, so it helps you to think about your hand and not giving birth.
Yeah, and so I kind of curled into the bed and just held the comb and was like that for like, how long do you think?
An hour, 2 hours?
Maybe an hour.
Yeah, you were just chilling there.
Yeah, like no one.
But you were in the side of the bed.
And my eyes were closed. I was like, my head was tucked into the bed, and like every time a contraction hit, this was what I told myself. I was like, I'm in control of this. It is not in control of me. I was like, I'm going to feel it like a wave, because that's what I had read. It's like, you want to imagine the pain. It has a purpose.
Yeah.
So where is it going? What is it doing? Like, visualize it as a wave. And just doing that over and over and over. At one point I was like, I think I have to use the restroom. And that was 30 minutes before I started pushing. So I got through that. And I am proud. I am. I got it by myself.
You should be proud. You went through it without any pain medication.
I did it.
You did a great job.
And I didn't even know I was doing it, which was the best part.
So good.
So yeah, feel the pain. There's purpose in your pain. God doesn't do things just. God's not far off God. He's not a far removed God. If there's a trial, there's a purpose, and it's to produce something in you. And yeah, that's our story. That's our birth story.
Yeah, so our loud opinion is it's her name. It's like God is our oath and God is true. Even when it doesn't feel like it.
Amen.
Just lock in, push through. The only way forward is through.
Oh, thank you guys.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
See you when we see you.